Okay, everybody, let's hear it for Bill Thompson. Guys, this is
don't stand for it. Watch.
I think we're running out of material.
Good.
We've got friends here from Williamsburg, Crown Heights, Midwood, Boro Park, and other communities. The issue of education is most important. It is to my family. The idea of our children being educated in a way that they are the future. They're going to be the future Bill Thompsons, the future Dov Hikinds, the future Barack Obamas, the future leaders of our country. But you need to get a great education. And everyone has talked about this forever. Ever since I'm in politics, everyone is going to make it better. And the most recent results of a test that were given to our students, and it was a little more difficult, that test. I can only imagine how difficult. The results were not too great. So the number one issue, as far as I'm concerned, is education. Education in terms of the entire universe. And we in our community, in particular, in the Jewish community, I mentioned earlier, and you and I talked about it on the radio, that there are over 500,000 people living in the Jewish community at near or at the poverty level. That is unbelievable. There are only 8.5 million people in the entire city of New York. How's that even possible? That's an issue we have talked about. And look, all poor are important, but that was a shocking statistic that I came across. And these are the kind of things we want to deal with. But we in our own community, we want a mayor who's going to be sensitive. Example, something we fought for in Albany, but we have been, the bureaucracy here in the city with the present mayor has made things so difficult. We finally got something done with Senator Simcha Felder, something that I've been fighting for years. We did it 2 years ago as well, but we're running into all kinds of bureaucratic problems. Imagine the idea of transportation for our yeshiva kids. We should be applauded in our community that kids get out of school at 5 o'clock, 5:30. Isn't more education a good thing? Why should anyone stand in the way of providing transportation, which is not an issue of church and state? Why should anyone stand in the way of providing transportation? And the bureaucracy and the difficulty that we are faced with right now. I can tell you one thing, everybody. A Bill Thompson administration, we will not have that problem. The issue, something that may not affect any of you, and I hope it doesn't. Special education for families that have special education children. Do you know, excuse me to use the word hell, do you know what people have to go through to get benefits that they deserve? To put out money in advance? Now, we passed legislation like this in Albany. It was vetoed. It's coming back. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. With a Bill Thompson administration, we won't have to pass the legislation in Albany. I don't hear you. This is important. This is toughness. This is real. Very important. Child care. You know, we have large families. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. You know, having 5 or 6 or 7 children is a very normal thing. Husbands go to work. The wives can't go to work if they don't have child care. We want people to work. The more people that work, the more taxes you have. This mayor has kept on cutting back and cutting back and cutting back. All I can say to you is this, that with a Thompson administration, we will get a fair shake. No question about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our job cut out. This is a close race. I'm optimistic, and I'm saying it right here, right now, I'm optimistic that with God's help, only with God's help, Bill Thompson will be the next mayor of the city of New York. But I also know one other thing that God wants. If you believe in something, if you stand for something, you have principles, you don't look at, you know, what's the poll on Monday? What is it on Tuesday? By the way, what will it be next week, Monday? No, you do what you think is right because your heart tells you this is the right man. God wants you to do your part, and we are asking everybody here and everybody out there, we need to do all the work that has to be done between now and September 10th, 9 o'clock at night. So ladies and gentlemen, I give you a friend of 31 years. 31 years. You don't stay friends with that many people for 31 years, especially in the world of politics where, you know, today you're in, I'll see you next week, next month, you're out. We have been in touch and have worked together. I have gone to Bill Thompson. I've gone to his father that he put me in touch with. I mean, his father, I mean, forget it, but the two of them, unbelievable. If they can help, you know, there's an expression, you know, there are people who like to do a mitzvah. Bill knows what a mitzvah is. Bill Thompson likes to do a mitzvah whether he's in office or out of office. Hey, I don't hear the enthusiasm enough. I don't hear it enough. Okay, great. So ladies and gentlemen, everybody here, representing Moses, representing people, the young people, a cross-section, people involved in all kinds of great work, like Pesach over there, my friend Brachi Binnick. Forget about the business he's involved in, the charity and the good that they do. The Binnick family, Moshe Binnick, you should be well. It's beyond comprehension. What people do quietly is unbelievable. And I don't want to start, I'll get into trouble, but we have some of the most remarkable people here. The remarkable people here are not the people standing right here. It is the average person here who's involved, who cares, who wants to do the right thing. We also have, and I got to tell you, come here a second, one of your great friends. You don't even know it, but we have the leader of, you know, there are showrooms in Williamsburg, in Manhattan, in Crown Heights. Nobody's recording this, so the other showroom in Flatbush are not going to get upset at me. But the most effective group are the ones in Boro, without any question. And it's because of Yankee Discal. What I want you to know is, Yankee was there for you 4 years ago. He is a businessman. He drove a sound truck with my voice for you 4 years ago. And he's back here today. And he is not, this time, he's collecting Mr. Bill Thompson as the next mayor of the city of New York. Thank you, Yankee. And again, that's it. I'm not getting into trouble with anyone else. But we have from everywhere. But Yankee was there, and I had to acknowledge him. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you, with God's help, the next mayor of the city of New York, Bill Thompson.
Let me thank my friend, Assemblyman Dov Hikind, and all of you for coming out today and supporting me to be the next mayor of the city of New York. Dov has been a friend, as he pointed out, for over 30 years. For over 30 years, we've stood together on a number of different issues. And the thing I can tell you about him, he has always let principle guide him. He's always let the things that he believes in. He isn't a person who is on one side one day and on a different side the next. He is, you know exactly where he is. He doesn't vacillate, he doesn't go back and forth. And when he's your friend, he's your friend. But he has stood up on behalf of the community for years. He stood up and represented him. He stood up and always been an independent voice, taking on, doesn't matter who. He'll take on the most powerful, it doesn't matter. Standing up and fighting for what he believes. It is great to see you, my friend. Thank you for your support. Thank you so much. I'm proud to be here and receive the support of so many individuals today as we look to the future of New York City. And then if you look at Dov's comments, he hit so many of the issues on the head. Issues of transportation. These are issues if the city of New York worked along with the community, if they listened and then moved forward, provide the leadership. It is good for New York City, it's good for this community. It's good for communities across the city. Here in Brooklyn, whether it's Williamsburg or Crown Heights or Borough Park or Flatbush or other neighborhoods across the city. Everybody wants someone who will listen. We realize that we're not always going to agree, but we always can work together. We can always listen and hear each other. We can always try and work to common solutions. So as we look at issues like transportation, for school children, education. Education is the backbone. Why isn't New York City working to make sure that children get to and from school and get there safely? When it comes to issues like child care, what's happened in child care slots and Priority 7 vouchers and the cuts have been outrageous. It's prevented people from going to work, prevented mothers from going to work. It's kept families that are poor to begin with. It's created additional hardship for them. We need to bring that back. We need to create those child care opportunities. We need to keep our word and our commitment to people in the communities. New York City needs to do that. Our special education children, those with special needs, to continue to force families to go through a court fight year after year after year after year after year is wrong. It is wrong. And all it does is continue to place under stress those families who are struggling already. Those families who are working hard to continue to get ahead. It puts extra stress on them. There's so many things we can do and will do together, because you'll have in City Hall someone who will listen, someone who will work with you, someone who will look to come up with common solutions, someone who will move forward and move forward together. That's the type of leader I've always been.
It's here, Thompson! Thompson! Everybody! Thompson! Thompson! Come on! Thompson! Thompson! Thompson!
We have 19 days left until the election. This election is September 10th. Time gets short. It's the things that we do over the next 19 days that will determine who the next mayor of the city of New York is. I need your help. I need your help. Together, we will move the city in a different direction. We will put someone in City Hall who will work with everybody. We'll put somebody in City Hall who will listen and work together, who will work collaboratively. So over the next 19 days, let's put it in gear. Let's really turn it up. Let's move forward together. I have no doubt that with your help and God's will, I will be the next mayor of the city of New York. So thank you.
Bill, can I get you real quick, because I might not make it to your next event, on Stop and Frisk. The council today is expected to vote to override the mayor's veto on those two bills. What are your thoughts on that?
Bobby, before I go there, can I just get
sure.
any comment, any questions?
Anybody from the audience who wants to ask a question? Yes, please.
What about the inquisition against the Miles and Briss Miller conducted by Bloomberg? Are you going to stop the inquisition against our Miles?
What I've said is that what didn't happen before was the city really didn't sit down with the community, sit down with learned leadership. And what they did was impose their will.
Excuse me, they did sit down, but they disregarded them. They treated them like trash.
What I've said is I'd be happy to sit down and have the conversation that should have been had before, and find ways that we can balance safety with the religious practices that have existed for thousands of years.
Very good. Yes, sir.
Before we do, can we do press questions first?
Sure.
Education is very important to the Jewish community. Why did you take the UFT endorsement?
I don't see education is very important to me. It's very important to the Jewish community. It's very important to communities across the city of New York. I'm happy and proud to have the support of the UFT. At the same point, I don't see that being in conflict with support and education in the Jewish community. I think the one thing that everybody knows, when I was at the Board of Education as its president, there were things that I did that might not have been, that the Board of Ed or that others might have said, why are you doing that? But it was good for the Jewish community. It created issues of fairness and equity. So I will continue to do what I believe is right, what I believe is right for children.
Abe.
I can speak to the fact that I work closely with
I was going to say the same.
when he was president of the Board of Education, and when he was deputy president of Brooklyn, and when he was controller. And he always did the right thing for our community without looking at the political endorsements of whoever might have endorsed him. And certainly at the Board of Education, he was there when we needed him, and we needed him a lot, and we always got the right response to help our community.
Press questions first, guys. Huh?
Mr. Thompson, did you offer Mr. Hikind a job in your future administration?
Can you say yes?
I'm sorry. No. I'll tell you what. The one thing I will tell you about Dov Hikind, if anybody ever indicates there's any quid pro quo, that anything other than what he believed in, 2009, when it was difficult, when no one believed I was going to come close in that election, when no one believed that I could win, based on principle, based on what he felt was in the best interest of the city, Dov Hikind stood up and supported me. And it wasn't the popular thing to do. As I pointed out before, he's always stood up and done what was his principled belief. So to indicate that there would be anything that he would have ever asked for anything is almost an insult. So he has been a man of integrity. Any other press questions? It's a not
anybody from the press. Anything?
Let me go to Bobby.
Right here. Okay.
All right. Sorry. Okay. Hikind has told us two reasons he supports you on education. One is because he thinks you would make sure the city follows a state law requiring yellow school buses to take kids home from school after 4:30 p.m. And the second is because he thinks you would make it easier for kids with special needs to attend private schools at taxpayer expense if the public schools can't serve them. Mr. Thompson, what would you do specifically about these two issues, and what about those who say you would take money away from public education if you made it easier for kids to go to private schools and to get yellow buses late in the day?
I think that right now what you're seeing is, and the first thing, when it comes to public education and the public schools, I don't think there's anybody who's better prepared to move that system forward, who's better prepared to lead to make sure that children in the public school system get the education that they need and deserve. So I think that that's the start. Let me make that very clear. When it comes to, and I'll just touch on one of this, when it comes to children with special needs, right now they go to court and their parents fight that legal battle. I'm not saying that that shouldn't be done, but each and every year, those parents are being made to come back year after year after year and go through that same battle. That's wrong. So I see, based on their IEPs, based on the evaluations that are done during the year, that should be a way to be able to take the initial court decision, which you do have to do, and then move forward after that and be able to not force parents back to court each and every year. That's something that at a certain point just isn't the right thing to do. It isn't the decent thing to do. So I've said that before in public. There have been a number of forums where I've made that very clear, that parents with special needs, once that determination is made, we're not going to drag them back into court year after year after year.
Thank you.
So you will end it? That's what you're saying? You will end it?
I said that parents aren't going to be forced to do that again, yes.
You want to? Anybody else from the press?
Bobby.
Yeah, can you stop and just real quick? Just the council's probably going to pass the two bills over the mayor's veto. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is that frustrating to you? I know that you're not in support of.
I haven't supported the bills, but at the same point, I've said that I will make them work. I mean, there's going to be a federal court monitor that's in place. We're going to have an inspector general. We'll see what the other piece of legislation that really opens up state courts for lawsuits brought against the city. I'll work with the laws that exist as well as with the federal monitors. So while I didn't, if you've heard what I've said to anyone who said, is there a message that I've said to council people? And my answer is no. Individuals should vote their conscience in what they believe is in the best interest of their constituents, period. So I'll make those laws work.
Can we get some louder.
I'm an ADP auditor. I audit, and I've been discriminated in the job for 28 years. I have no work. I filed with the Division of Human Rights, the EOC, and the Workers' Compensation, and the courts. They can play games with me. As soon as I win my case, they can switch in judges. I have 22 judges and 11 attorneys, and they didn't do anything for me. I didn't get 10 years yet, and I haven't worked for 28 years. I just want to know where the justice is.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you live in the area here?
I live in
Okay, so I welcome you to call my office, make an appointment to see me personally, and I want to listen to you, and it sounds very egregious, and I would love to help you. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, if I may say, We have many voluntary organizations in this neighborhood. I don't think there's any neighborhood that has that many. How, as mayor, we can make our job easy?
We have to work.
Well, I think
Come
one
on,
of the
the
things
whole
that
media is blocked.
continues to make the city go and that helps this neighborhood and other neighborhoods are voluntary organizations, are nonprofit organizations. Those are things that those organizations feed hungry people, make sure that services are provided. If anything, we'd want to strengthen the ties with those nonprofits. I think one of the things that should have been learned, and if you look at particularly, I could talk about the services that are done each and every day. Look at what happened in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. The organization, the city dropped the ball. The organizations that did best for communities across the city of New York were those nonprofits that were out there. Individuals who worked through the nonprofits. If you look, I volunteered and did some work on the Lower East Side. I volunteered through one of the nonprofits. The city, did they know what to do? No. The nonprofit knew what to do. They knew where the seniors who needed help were. They knew which buildings people needed help in. We went into those buildings, those high rises. I must admit, walking up 17 flights. I made sure I got back into the gym again and worked a little harder after that. Going up 17 flights takes a lot, but it was the nonprofit organizations that brought hundreds and thousands of people together across the city of New York to help others. We need to strengthen the ties with our nonprofits, and in addition, I'm a believer, and it is something different than what the Bloomberg administration believes. They have been shrinking some of the smaller nonprofits and trying to consolidate them. I think that's a mistake. I think those smaller organizations are invaluable to communities.
Businesses and small homeowners.
We're going to take that as the last question, and that is, when you talk about harassment, it is when you look at small businesses, it is almost as if the city of New York is at war with its small businesses. Fines, fees, penalties. I've heard more horror stories from small business owners in the last few years. New York City is using them as a piggy bank. It needs to stop. As we look at, it used to be if you walked into a store and there was a health violation, someone got a ticket, there wasn't a fine attached to it, there was an opportunity to make the corrections. That doesn't exist anymore. We need to bring that back. We need to stop that. That's number one. Number two, when you ask small businesses, what can we do to help you? They will tell you, get out of our way. You look up and down the street. This is a community of small businesses. These businesses employ people in the neighborhood. They provide services to this neighborhood. We need to get out of their way. We need to stop with the fines and fees. We need to make sure that our inspectors, whether it's buildings or health, are better trained, and that we also create the opportunity just to straighten out sanitation tickets, parking tickets, all those things. We need to stop with the quotas also. That needs to end. And last but not least, and one last thing, what has happened, whether you own or rent in New York City, we have seen assessments go up while valuation went down. So if you look at 2007, 8, and 9, we were in a recession. The value of everybody's property went down. Assessments went up. Standing near a former finance commissioner of the city of New York, who knows that some things just don't make sense. And I've said, and this isn't a secret, I've said that the assessments have been artificially manipulated. And when I point to 2007, 8, and 9, the administration says absolutely not. There is no manipulation of assessments. But yes, the assessments did go up in 2007, 8, and 9. We can't tell you why. It just happened. It's wrong. And if you look at assessments that have gone up, whether you own or rent, you are paying that extra amount. When you look at water rates that went up in double digits, 12, 13, 14%, even though we had proven that it didn't have to be that way. Again, artificial backdoor taxes that goes into the general fund. The city of New York needs to stop. It will stop under a Thompson administration.
Will you hire taxes?
Yankee, again, the head of the showroom here in our community, would like to make a statement.
I just want to make a statement. Mr. Thompson, I know your father very well. As a judge, he was very fair and did the right thing. If you just do half what your father did, you'll be going down as the greatest mayor of New York.
All right.
Thank you. And I'm going to look at Ben for a minute. Oh, I'm not sure, and I look at Dov. I'm not sure if my father is closer to Ben and to Dov than he is to me. All right, so just at one point, Ben speaks to my father at times more than I talk to my father. So I will always...
I send regards from his father to him.
Exactly. So it really is. My dad is still doing great.
I use him as an attorney now. So.
Okay. Let me tell you.
You have a good attorney.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I promise you, you're going to be mayor. I promise you. For sure, for sure, for sure. I'm the best mayor that New York City ever had.
Okay.
Stop and frisk. Stop and frisk is a baloney. It's like TSA. We stop everybody. You have a much more intelligent position, which is community policing, where everybody knows that the guys who go around, the undercover cops, know exactly who the criminals are, and those are the majority criminals. Those are the guys you get after. You don't get the grandmothers in the wheelchairs.
Bill Thompson had been mayor. Forget about what his opinion. You wouldn't have a problem. You know what he said? I know that. I know him. Who came up with this stuff? After all these years and all the mayors we've had before, Lindsay, Beam, Giuliani, everybody, right? I mean, think about it.
I'm impressed with your common sense. Okay?
Will you raise taxes as mayor?
Mr. Thompson, you were watching the debate last night. Look, what I'd said is tax increases and watch your back.
We're running late?
Yeah.
Anita? Let's get a picture with Come on, we'll try that. Who has the camera? Who has the...
Yes.
Okay, I asked you a little question. Did you say what specifically would you do about yellow buses and making it easier for special needs children to go to private schools? Did you specifically say what you would do? How would you get that?
I did indicate the...
Okay, I guess.
Can I just say something about that since I was involved in legislation? It is the law right now. Exactly. We only need a mayor who's not going to put bureaucratic difficulties to make it more complicated. That's what we're saying. It is the law now that transportation needs to be made available to those who go to school after 4:30. All we're saying is now it's the law. Don't make it complicated. It is the law. There's no doubt that this man as mayor will say, look, it's the law. Don't make it complicated. You know, mayors can make things complicated.
Guys, we have to go. We have another. I'm sorry. We have another endorsement. We got. I can't keep the conversation waiting.
We gotta go. I'll see everybody later. Thank you, everybody.